going on? It's your boy Adam. Um, Clean shaven Adam. I had to go look at an apartment today. It is still May 3rd. And hold on, I gotta plug in a charger cord. I'm about to lose all that. And okay, we're good. Went looked at an apartment today, and I was like, let's do this. I like it. A big refrigerator, really nice gas range with it's got the gas range has the 4 burners, and it's got the long middle burner where you could put a cast iron griddle over it and have even heating over your griddle. Oven. There's a microwave. It comes with a microwave. Marble countertops. It's a garage. It's a 2-car garage that was turned into an apartment. 2-story, 2-car garage. So when you walk in, now the garage doors are permanently sealed shut and insulated. And I'm like, that's a good thing, because in the winter it does get cold enough to get cold. And having that insulation. But there's a homeowners association involved, so he can't just wall it off. It has to look like a garage from the outside. So, and I said, someday, if you decide that you want to turn this into your man cave or whatever, you can uninsulate those doors. And, because we were talking, I'm like, this is like one of those luxury car garages where people park their Ferraris and then have like a man cave and an apartment mixed in with it. And, we got a good laugh out of that. But he made this apartment for his son. And then his son moved on in life, and it's a very nice place. The first floor is the garage, and like I said, the doors are sealed shut. The mechanisms are in place and whatnot, but you can't open the doors. The floor is basically a marble tiled floor. It's not some fake bullshit. It's the real deal. It's a beautiful floor. First floor had, like I said, big refrigerator, good oven, sink, and a lot of open space. Bathroom had a really nice tiled shower and a bathtub, sink, and toilet. And then there's a set of stairs going upstairs. And so in the bathroom, underneath the stairs that go upstairs, there's actually a nice amount of storage space, like a closet, where I could put some of that stuff that's up. All that stuff up there would fit in that storage space. But the place itself there's so much space everywhere in this apartment that I wouldn't have a problem finding I wouldn't have a problem having a place to put my stuff. In fact, all the stuff that I have in here would make the place look almost empty after I move in. I would literally have to get a few pieces of furniture just to make it comfortable, just to make it feel like it's not empty. But I have what I need to start out with. I'm looking at my office chair right now, and the wheels on my office chair might be a problem. The upstairs is a carpeted floor, big open room, windows all the way around, I think. And then this includes all utilities, including the internet. The guy said he would give me a Wi-Fi password, and he has AT&T fiber optic home internet with their speeds are ridiculously high. But in spite of that, my T-Mobile, I checked, I can take my T-Mobile hotspot with me. With all the windows on the second floor, I should be able to get a decent speed and use the guy's internet as a backup. So I could have 2 internet connections to choose from and possibly not have any issues. And he wasn't even opposed to me having AT&T hook up an actual internet connection that I pay for, so I have my own direct connection. But it wouldn't have to be something I do in the first month. I wouldn't have to be in a hurry. I think that the internet that I would have on move-in day would be good enough to get through, possibly good enough for good. Probably, I might not have to have anything done. I might not need anything be above and beyond that. And if I did, if I wanted my own dedicated connection, I don't think he would be opposed. It would just make his apartment more valuable in terms of, having another tenant move in later, having it wired for the internet. The house is already wired. He's already got AT&T fiber installed at his house, and he just has a Wi-Fi router that he shares the connection with the tenant. I told him, I said, look, I move a lot. I do a lot of video work, and I'm constantly moving files around. I wouldn't want to, you probably have unlimited bandwidth and everything, but I would like to not, I'd like to have my own connection. But either way, we talked for a while. It went smooth. I said I wanted to do it. I said I could give him a down payment to hold it until June 1st, and he said he wanted to make, he said he had a couple of other prospects that wanted to look at the place. We talked about my felony. He asked, if somebody asks me, I'm up front. That's the thing with that kind of stuff. You don't want to dance around it. People will appreciate it a lot more if you're just up front with them and you tell them. He said he rented to somebody who had a felony car theft, and he didn't have a problem with it, so he wouldn't have a problem with me. He didn't call me a hero or anything like that, but he said, he's like, if that's what you did, I don't have a problem with that. Nobody does. Nobody really ever seemed. The only people that have a problem with it are when I'm looking for a job. Still waiting to get that DoorDash background check. It's been about a month since I submitted that application for DoorDash. But what I'm finding is when you submit your credentials for a background check, if the background check doesn't come back in 24 to 48 hours, it's a fail. It's you're not getting the job. And the background check will take, this background check from DoorDash is going to take a month and a half. And then I'm going to get an email that says, sorry, but we can't let you work with us at this time. Please check back on another day and blah, all that bullshit. So I'm not even gonna like try at this point. I don't care anymore. I already know the results of that one. So I'm supposed to hear back on Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Sometime this coming week, I'm supposed to find out. I had a little bit of snafu with this Amazon order for my bicycle, so my funds are a little bit lower than I wanted them to be. But I've got an invoice out there, and if I get paid for that invoice this week, that'll put the money that I need to do everything back in the bank. It's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight for the first month after I make that initial payment. It's a lot. It's going to drain me again. And then I'm going to have the rest of the month to get some funds together to get a moving van, U-Haul or something. But if I move to this place, it's literally 1 mile away. It's less than a mile from where I live right now. There's a U-Haul rental probably 1 to 2 miles away from here. So if it's $20 a day plus 60 cents per mile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I might go 10 miles. So $20 plus 60 cents a mile. If I go 10 miles, that's like $6 in mileage fees, and gas won't cost more than a few bucks to fill the gas tank back up. So I might be able to get a I might be able to get a moving vehicle cheap for this move because the distance isn't there. And if I can combine like going to pick up 1 or 2 pieces of furniture because I have a rental van to do it with, if the money is there, I can do it. If not, if I don't feel safe money-wise, it's just one of those things. How far is a trip to IKEA and how much would that cost? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, or is there a furniture store somewhere close by that I could pick up a bed and a couch or, something? I don't know. You can also get stuff on Amazon and have it delivered. And, or, can I set the radius of, like, can I set a 10-mile radius on, what do you call it? Facebook Marketplace and see what furniture pops up? And if I find something that's within a reasonable distance to drive on moving day, see if I can pick up something, a little housewarming thing. I don't know. I'm trying to get into the mindset of I've made my decision. I want to move into this place. I think it would work. Money wise, it's going to be very difficult until I figure some shit out, but it's not impossible. I'll have to go through this hassle with probation. They'll have to come over and look at it. They'll have to come over and, probably make me pee in a cup or some dumb shit. I don't know. Whatever they do, they're going to do. And last time they made me do it, it wasn't too bad. I made sure that I had to go to the bathroom, but I still had a problem with it. Like it still wasn't easy for me to go. Even I had to go really bad, and we actually I couldn't go, and then so we went, and I took them into the house and showed them the washing machine and dryer, and just going on that little bit of a walk, and back to the tiny house, I was able to squeeze out a handful of drops, and he was like, "Yeah, that's enough, as long as it's enough to make the test strip work." And then they were like, "Okay, you're good. We're out of here." And as soon as they left, I took a piss that lasted 2 minutes long. So I don't know, man. It's like if you drink too much water, they get on your case for that. But when they come and test you at your house, they don't look at when they come and test you at your own house, they're not going that crazy as they are when you go down there. When you go down there and you pee in the cup, if you drank too much water, they'll flag you for that. They'll be like, "Oh, you watered your pee down." But at the home check, they won't. First time I had to do it was getting off the bus in Buffalo. I went in and I couldn't pee. So they were like, well, no, I had to pee when I got there. I made sure I didn't go there until I had to pee. I drank a bunch of water. And then when I peed, they're like, "Oh, your pee is too much water. You trying to hide something?" I'm like, I just got off the bus from prison. I just got here an hour ago from prison. I mean, I guess people can get high on the way home from prison, but I'm like, I just got out of prison 24 hours ago, and I just got off the bus here. So they're like, "Come back later today and try it again." So I went and peed a few times at the library, and then I walked back down, and I did it again, and they're like, "It's still too watered down, man. Sorry." But the guy didn't get mad. He goes, "I'll come to your house tomorrow or the next day. I'm not going to tell you exactly when. You'll get a knock on the door." They showed up, and I still couldn't pee. I was like, it was 2 in the afternoon, and I'm like, I'm not going to just sit there and hold my piss for 3 days straight. So they were there. I drank some coffee. I drank some water. I couldn't go. They're like, "Shit, man, we'll come back tomorrow." They're like, "Well, okay, we're going to come back tomorrow morning. We're not going to tell you what time, but we'll be there tomorrow morning. How's that sound?" And I said, "That sounds fine." And I just chugged water until I basically just sat in a chair all crumpled over because I had to pee so bad. And then when they got to the house, the probation officer just kind of hung out in the living room while I was in the bathroom. So he wasn't even there staring at me. And then I was able to pee, and he's like, "All right, man, we're good." He's like, "I know you're not a drug addict." He goes, I know that this isn't," he's like, I have to do this legally. I have to do it. He's like, "But I know that drugs aren't your problem, and that," he's like, "I don't think you're ever going to fail a drug test while you're on probation, dude." He's like, he's like, "Sorry I had to make you do it." He's like, "I know that can be a pain." He was very cool about it, is what I'm saying. He wasn't, even the guy I'm dealing with here in Texas is a little bit more of a by the book, straight edge kind of guy, and he's more strict than the one in New York was. The guy in New York, I honestly think I would have never seen him again after I never did. I mean, I really didn't see him after. He was all right. He didn't bother me. He wasn't bad at all to deal with. Um, he This guy in Texas is a little bit more by the book. That's all. But I'm not saying that he's a bad guy to deal with. He's very friendly, and I don't have a problem with him. It's just he's a little more strict, and he's definitely, if I move into this place, it's going to be a hassle until he comes in, and it's just going to be a hassle. He's going to come and look at the place and probably go, here's a cup, go give me a pea, go give me some of your delicious yellow pea, and get that out of the way and good to go, I guess, for however long. But I shouldn't have a problem if I can move into a place where I can stay for a year. This guy said he would sign a year lease with me, but he would leave it open to, he's like, I won't hold you to it. If you decide you want to move out, I won't hold. So we talked about that a little bit. He's like, as long as you're cool, I'm cool, we're cool, good to go. It's 1 more mile each way for the bakery. Literally, there's a traffic light right next to the house here, like two houses away, or the driveway I'm in, another driveway, and then a traffic light. I would make a right at the traffic light and just go down the road a little bit, and the house is there, but it's set back, quiet. None of this crazy. It's a nice place. It's a really nice place. The kitchen was what sold me. I was like, this kitchen is nice. This is nice digs. The laundry's an issue. The laundry, I would have to either go to a laundromat or find a way to wash my own clothes at the place. That's an issue. Laundry is a luxury in terms of an apartment. That's a tough one to find right now. And that's a problem for me because I don't have a car to go wash my clothes with. So I think the first thing I would have to do before I even get furniture is get one of those portable washing machines, and even if I just get a rack to dry my clothes on a rack and wash my clothes with a portable washing machine for a couple $100 in the bathtub or whatever, and then just have that sitting off to the side. That might be what I have to do for a minute. I don't have that. I don't go through so many clothes that would be a big problem. If I had to do it, if I had to spend 1 day a week doing 4 loads of laundry in a thing like that on Sunday or whatever, that wouldn't be a big deal. I could handle that. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what's going on right now. It's I'm ready to do it. I money wise, forget getting a fucking car for a while. That's for sure. I can't afford to get a fucking car now. I couldn't even afford a car payment. Not until I'm established and set up for a couple of months in a new place, to where I'm used to the expenses, and all the utilities are included, and so, but it's more expensive, but it's much better. It's a longer walk to the grocery store. I would literally want to start. I would probably have to. I might. Because the garage area is so big, I could get I could get a dedicated bicycle with a big rack, a big set of baskets or something that I could use for grocery shopping and going to the laundromat. That would be another idea. A dedicated bicycle specifically for that, and just have another bike that I only use for grocery shopping and going to the laundromat, that can carry a ton of weight, that has racks and that has big baskets or racks permanently installed, and it's set up specifically for going on those. That way I still have my two bicycles dedicated for my bicycle commuting. Or if I could get a job that's closer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. If I have to survive on a bicycle right now, a bicycle might cost $100. A basic bike for that purpose, I could probably do it for $100. The baskets and racks or whatever I put on it to carry all the stuff, fine. And it could just be like standard flat pedals, so I can ride around in my sneakers and not have to change into my bicycle shoes for that. So I don't know. I've got stuff to think about. And then I bought a bunch of stuff for the Red Rocket. I want to replace the drivetrain. That's turning into a hassle. So my funds are a little bit screwed up right now because I spent about $180 on all the stuff I need for both bicycles. I looked at the numbers. I looked at my finances for the month because I stayed in this tiny dump for another month. I decided I had enough money to do this. And my bike needs it. The chain is stretched out. It's bad. It's something I noticed. And it's one of these situations, the longer you wait to fix it, the more likely it could cause a problem. Would it cause a problem serious enough to where I'd be stranded somewhere? Probably not. But it could cause a problem to where I can't ride the bike until I fix it. So I'm going to replace the chain rings, the cassette, which are the sprockets on your back wheel for layman's terms, and the chain. And so here are the problems I'm running into already. The two chain rings arrived. They're the wrong size. There's different bolt patterns and different diameters. And the bolt pattern on my bike it's an older bike. And so it's older vintage gear. And the bolt pattern was too big for the chain rings I bought. The ones I bought were 110 millimeter. I needed 130 millimeter 5-bolt chain rings. And that wasn't even something I paid attention to when I bought them. I was like, 5-bolt, I'm good. I forgot that, there's multiple diameters for the 5-bolt setup. So the chain rings are no good. I got to take them back on Monday. I got to find a Whole Foods to drop them off at. The UPS store no longer does Amazon returns for free. Handy tip. They charge you $1 now to return your Amazon items to the UPS store. But you can drop your Amazon returns off at Whole Foods and you'll get credit. Your refund will be instantaneous on Amazon when you drop it off at Whole Foods. So, like within an hour, you'll get your money back. So I'm going to get about 50 something dollars back by returning the chain rings. But I already bought 2 new chain rings in the meantime, and they were nicer chain rings than the ones I'm returning, and they cost about $50 a piece. So there was $100. So overall, I'm down. Now I'm up to like $230 total spent on my bicycle repairs for both bikes, not just one bike, and some ancillary stuff on the side like CO2 cartridges, extra inner tubes, the basic stuff like that. That I always need to have that handy and in stock. So I got up, so I'm up. So anyway, I'm sending back the chain rings. One of the new chain rings showed up today. It's okay. It's not as nice as I wanted the official old school Shimano chain rings, but that's a hard thing to find. So these are like China Mart brand, and they've got good reviews. They're lightweight. I think they'll work just fine. I'm not even, but I have currently on my Red Rocket, I have a 52 tooth chain ring and a 42 tooth chain ring. And that's my high to low range gear on the front. The new ones, I wanted to get the same brand for both. The smallest one they make in that brand is a 46 tooth. So I went with a 53 tooth to a 46 tooth. And the difference between a 42 and a 46 tooth chainring is about 1 gear's worth difference. But and here in Houston, that's not going to be a problem. I can probably ride thousands of miles on this while I live in Houston. But if I decide to go on a bike ride at some point where there's going to be significant hills, the smallest chainring you can get in a 130 millimeter bolt pattern is about 38 teeth. So that's only 4 teeth smaller than a 42. And so the difference between those is fairly insignificant. A 42 down to a 38 is only going to be about half a gear's worth. And by half a gear, I mean in the back. The rear sprockets, when you change gears on the rear derailleur from one to another, that's what I'm calling a jumping gears. So the difference between a 42 tooth and a 38 tooth chainring is going to be about 1 gear. My small gear will be 1 gear smaller. But the difference between a 46 and a 38 is a little bit more than a gear. So the difference between a 42 and a 38 is half of a gear. So whatever your smallest gear is, you can get like an extra half gear smaller by going to that smaller chainring. It's kind of, it's insignificant in the overall scheme of things, but the difference between a 46 and a 38 is about a whole gear. So that actually means that my smallest gear will be, when everything is all said and done, the smallest gear I'm going to have available to go up hills is going to be 1 gear larger than what my smallest gear is. Well, I don't know if you can hear the background, but once again, this is what it is. 24 hours a day in this tiny house turned into a giant nightmare. Let's see. The phone cut out again because I ran out of storage space. It's happening every 2 to 3 days, and it's the amount. I have the same amount of storage space that I had on the day I started shooting these videos, so it just depends on, it's just hours. There's some cleanup I could do on the phone. I could get, I don't need to store 6,000 memes, which I don't have that many, but there have been times where I've just let memes pile up, and to the point where I'm like, man, that meme was from like a year ago. That's not even, you'd never be able to even use that meme again, because the 3-day news cycle when a story comes out and then 3 days later everybody forgot about it, that means all the memes related to that news story are no longer viable. The only memes right now that have any longevity are the no arrest of Jeffrey Epstein's customers memes that you can post on Pam Bondi's Twitter account. You can post them on Dan Bongino's Twitter account, and you can post them to Kash Patel's Twitter account every single time. And I mean, every single time one of those 3 people posts anything on Twitter, there would be 6,000 or more replies within 15 minutes of people posting memes or messages saying, when you going to arrest the Jeffrey Epstein customers? When you going to show us the Epstein files? They can't post anything to Twitter without being bombarded with tens of thousands of people bitching at them about covering up for Jeffrey Epstein's customers. But I'm just going to get back to what I was talking about, because now I backed up all the video files. I don't know when you're going to be watching this. Like I said, I looked at a place today. I have enough money to put down on the place to hold it for the rest of the month. I talked to the guy, and if the invoice that I'm waiting to get paid for comes through by the end of the week, I one way or another I'll be able to cough up. It's gonna be over $2,000 just to move in on the 1st. It's going to wipe me out financially. It's going to hurt really bad. Every time I get some money saved up to try and start looking for a car, I get it ripped right out of my hand. So, because I rely on a bicycle, that's what I was talking about when the video cut out. I had to drop a pretty penny on my Red Rocket. And I had to drop a little bit of pennies on the Silver Bullet. The Silver Bullet, I got a new seat post coming. It's getting delayed. It should have been here today, but it's delayed because of bad weather somewhere. No big deal. I really didn't feel like doing any work on the bicycles today anyway. And the Silver Bullet needed a seat post. That was apparent. That was in play from the day I bought the bike. The seat post was kind of crummy. And it's one of these things that it's a suspension seat post. So as you go over bumps, it's supposed to give you a little cushion in the old taint. But I don't want a seat post. I don't want that. That just doesn't feel like it would be... I don't feel like I would enjoy that, number one. And number two, there's a rubber elastomer. A big, long rubber elastomer inside the seat post. And you can take the thing completely apart and pull the rubber elastomer out. But this seat post is so old that it's literally a hard piece of plastic. The rubber completely lost all of its elasticity, and it is literally just a chunk of plastic stuck in the... Well, it's not stuck, but it's in the seat post. So I took the seat post apart. I looked online, and you can get new old stock elastomers for the seat post from eBay. That's the only place you can find them. And they were like, for what it would cost, I could just buy a seat post at this point. So I bought a fairly nice seat post. Because this is a nice bike. I don't want to put junk parts on it. So I bought a nice seat post. I have a water bottle cage. I bought 2 water bottle cages, but I can only really put one of them on because of the way the front derailleur clamps on and where the bolts are. And I don't even think I want an extra bottle cage on it anyway. I want to keep this bike clean. I don't really want to cover it up with a bunch of junk and accessories and stuff. The only thing I might put on it is a handlebar mount for a phone. A nice handlebar mount like I have on the Red Rocket, but I might get something a little bit lighter that will clamp to the stem instead of the handlebar. I'm kind of like looking at different options there, but it's not something I give a crap about right now, so I'm just going to hold off. And I might get a cycling computer or something that I don't even know if I'm going to put a speedometer on that bike like I have on the Red Rocket. I might just use a GPS. I don't know. I got to do something. I like to know how fast I'm going in real time, but a phone would do that just fine. If I decide I want to go on longer bicycle rides with that bike, I'll do something, but I don't know. It's just those are the 2 things I'm going to do: water bottle cage, seat post. That's it. Clean up and tune up and all that on bicycle maintenance day. The Red Rocket is getting a drivetrain replacement. A nice way, I'm not going to show you as I talk right now today because, I'm just sitting here chilling. A good way to check if your chain is too stretched out, if you don't have the tool that measures chain stretch, when you ride a bicycle a lot, the chain will stretch out. It'll get longer and longer as you ride. And it'll get to the point where it no longer lines up with the teeth on the cogs of your gears. And then in turn, it will start to wear out the teeth on the cogs of your gears to match the shape and length of the chain. And so a good way to tell if your chain is stretched out too far is to look at how it wraps around your biggest chain ring. And if it lines up with the cogs and the teeth on the chain ring, if it all lines up at the top, but as you go around the chain ring, you notice that the chain bushings, the rollers, no longer line up with the teeth of the chain ring as it goes around. That's a good indication that your chain is too stretched out. And so I noticed that one day. I'm just sitting here and I looked at my bike and I'm like, yo, there were some gaps at the bottom of the chain ring where the chain didn't line up anymore. And I'm like, that explains some things I've been noticing about this bike as I ride. Just goofy stuff with shifting and whatnot. And I'm like, this chain is old as dirt. I need to change it. It's been way too long since I changed it. And it's probably been so long that I should change all the stuff. And it's vintage stuff, so it's not as expensive as it would have been back in the day to change all this stuff. So I bought a cassette for the rear wheel, and I bought 2 chain rings for the front. And so basically I'm doing a bunch of horse trading on Amazon right now because I bought 2 chain rings that were the wrong size. They don't fit on that crank set. And it was my dumbass that did it wrong. I was in a hurry. I was like, 5-bolt, that's fine, get it. As a result, I'm sending those 2 back. I've already got a return barcode. I got to go to Whole Foods in the Woodlands and drop them off. And then that money will go right back into my bank account. That's about $50-$60 right there. But I bought 2 chain rings to replace these 2 that are the right size. And one of them is a 53 tooth and the other one is a 46 tooth. I currently run a 53 tooth and a 42 tooth chain ring on the front. And I would really... One of the things about the setup I currently have is if I now there's no hills in Houston, but if I go someplace where there's steep hills, the smallest gear available on my bike is not quite small enough to go up steep hills. And a lot of times if it's super, super steep and I'm carrying a lot of gear, because that's what that bike is for, is long distance riding, there's times I just have to get off the bike and walk, which is fine on a several 100-mile bike ride. I'm sometimes getting off the bike and just walking up a hill is like taking a break, get the old taint to air out a little bit, go for a little hike up a hill, get back on the bike and go, but I am a little bit, I do get stronger from time to time. And so that the smallest gear on that bike is it's okay, but it's not as, I would like to have a bigger gear range. And so I want the chain rings to be the same brand so that they work as good as they can together. And so the difference between a 42 tooth and a 46 tooth, if you ever ride a bicycle and you've got gears in the front and gears in the back, think about the gears in the back. Every time you step up or down a gear, I'm just going to call it a step, a change in gear. The front chain rings, let's ignore that for now. So every time you shift up to a higher gear, it's dropping the chain to a smaller cog in the back. Each time you go 1 gear, that's basically a step. Now, the steps are going to depend on the range of gearing that you choose for the back wheel and all of that. And there's so many different options there in terms of the difference between a small and a big gear. And I also have a derailleur from a mountain bike which can accommodate a much larger range of gears than a road bike derailleur can accommodate. So I really could get crafty and put mountain bike gears on the back of this bike that would give me a huge range of gears, even with the double chain ring in the front instead of a triple chain ring. There's lots of different things I can do with this old school shit that I could get some pretty wide range of gearing out of it. But I don't want a small gear that's so small. Like, I don't need mountain bike gears for a road bike because roads don't get as steep as trails do in the woods. And so, generally speaking, they don't. So, I'm kind of decided I've got 2 chain rings coming to replace the 2 that I'm returning. These 2 new ones were more expensive. That was like $100 for both. I already dropped, so I dropped $185 to get everything I needed. That was inner tubes, CO2 cartridges, two chain rings, a cassette, and a new chain. And there might be something else in there that I'm forgetting, but it's everything I need to replace the drivetrain. But I'm sending two of the chain rings back, so that's about $60. So 120 is what I spent. But then I dropped $100 on two new chain rings, so now I'm up to about 220 in what I spent. But one of those chain rings is the 46 tooth. Well, I did a little more homework and I found from the same brand a 38, 30, or a 39 tooth chain ring. The smallest chain ring you can put on that size of a crank set is 38 teeth. And I decided to go one tooth bigger because I read a couple of things that people were saying on certain Shimano crank sets. The chain rubs too much against the crank. Going 39, I guess 39 was the biggest. 39 teeth was the smallest chainring size that Shimano would support back when my crank set was made. So I decided, you know what, one tooth, if one tooth is going to cause me problems, I'll go with a 39. So the difference between that 42 and the 46 would have been about a half step in gearing on the back. So the smallest gear available on the back, if I switched from the 42 to the 46, my smallest possible gear for going uphill would be about a half step bigger than what it already was. And so my gear range has collapsed a little bit in terms of the difference between the smallest gear and the largest gear I have available. So I don't want to compress my gearing any more than it already is because there's not a huge difference between the two chain rings. And a lot of gears overlap when you shift to the small chain ring up front and you go through the range of gears in the back. There's a lot of overlap between that and the big chain ring. So I'm trying to reduce the overlap of gears and give myself the smallest gear possible for going uphill. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to order the 39 tooth chain ring. So that's 3 chain rings I have to send back. The new one was about $40. The one I'm sending back was about $50. So I got to take all this shit to Whole Foods, drop it off, and let the money all go back into my bank account. The money I can't even do the math anymore. And then I realized that the chain I bought isn't long enough so right now my chain on my bike is a bit too short. And there's a reason for that. It has to do with I used to have a triple crank set on the front of my bike with a really, really tiny chain ring. And the jumping gears was just ridiculous and it didn't work right. And that's part of the reason why I had the mountain bike derailleur on the back to accommodate this ridiculously wide-ranging gearing. And the front never worked right. And so I finally just gave up on the front and put a double road bike chain ring and crank set on the front of this bike. And it works flawlessly now. But the derailleur has been stretched out for a long time. And it's a high-quality derailleur from the mid-1990s. This thing will never die. And it's still fine in terms of how it works. But it would work better if I would lengthen the chain about six inches at the most. But that's a big... I bought it. You can't buy a chain long enough to do what I'm trying to do. And so I had to order another chain. Now, the chains are like $18. It's not like that's a huge expense. But I had to go and buy the exact same chain I just bought so that I can take enough links off of the second chain to add them to the chain that I'm trying to lengthen. And I'm not going to know exactly how much more I have to lengthen the chain until I get this stuff put together. And then I'll know about how much more length I'm going to need in terms of chain. And then I started to think, well, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it right, chains are designed more to be so a chain tool, a tool that pops the rivet out of a chain link. It's more designed to shorten a chain. It's not so much designed to put a chain back together. But you can do that. I worked in bike shops for years and years and years. I have taken chains off of bikes that didn't have a master link and put the chains back on. The integrity of the pin that holds the chain links together is reduced a little bit if you pop if you pop it out and put it back in. And you do it without taking the whole pin. It's a pin that holds the chain link together. And you don't take it all the way out when you want to pop the chain off or on a bike without a master link. You don't. In fact, if you pop it all the way out, good luck trying to get it back on. You'll probably never be able to get it back in. So a quick link or a master link is how you take a chain off on and off a bike without any special tools. You can generally get them off with your hands, with your bare hands, but they do make special pliers to pop them on and off. So to lengthen my chain, I've got two options. I put two master links on the chain to hold the extra piece of chain that I need to lengthen the chain. And I just feel like that's a bit ghetto. I mean, there's really technically nothing wrong with doing it. But I don't want two master links on my chain. So I'm going to pop the rivet out of a chain link and then lengthen my chain by however many links I need and then push that rivet back in. And the chain that I bought should support that. Shouldn't have any problem with that. But in order to do it right and in order to do it so that it goes perfectly straight out and perfectly straight in, I decided I need a shop quality chain tool. I have two chain tools in my toolbox, but one's in my backpack and one's in my tool bag, but they're roadside toolkit versions of a chain tool. They'll do the job. They'll get your chain on and off. If you have a bent link or a screwed up link out on a bike ride and you have to pop a link off of your chain and shorten it by a couple of links just to get links to get home or something. If you got to do an emergency repair, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You can take chains on. You can do that with what I need to do. I could do with the tool I have, but it can when you pull the pin out and push it back in on a chain, you might get a stuck link or you might get a link that doesn't smoothly turn. And there's different ways to make it work. There's, you flex the chain a little bit until it smooths out. But it's just a pain. It's a little bit of a pain. It's not recommended to do it, but I'm telling you, I worked in bike shops for years and years and years. And on a chain like the chain that I'm using, it shouldn't be a problem at all. I should never have to worry about the chain breaking, and if it does, I'll know exactly which link, how many links from the master link is the one with the pin that I compromised. So if it ever does break, I'll prove myself wrong and I'll know which link it is. I'll know exactly what link it is on the chain. So, I'm not worried about it. But I bought a bike shop quality chain tool because it's just a basic tool that you'll need, and as I'm working on bicycles and whatnot, it's going to be used. And then Amazon was offering a combo deal where I could get the Master Link pliers, a chain stretch measuring tool, and the shop quality chain tool for a really, really, really good price. And I was like, screw it, I'll get it. So there's all this stuff flying around now with all these Amazon orders and different charges going in and out and all this and that. And I was like, there's like $300 outgoing, but by the time, but there's about $100 going back in. And then, so by the time it's all said and done, I've probably spent between $200 and $250 on bicycle stuff. And I have to wait until all the transactions do what they do. The returns are going to go, the money's going back in my bank. Some of it's coming out and everything and blah. And so that fucked me a little bit, because now I found an apartment that I like, and I'm like, damn it, you should have just waited. But this is the kind of thing, if I wait and I take the Red Rocket bicycle, like, what if I got to go on a 70-mile bike ride to go do something, like look at an apartment or whatever, and I'm 40 miles from home and I have like some catastrophic failure and get stranded somewhere because I didn't replace my chain, or because I noticed something was wrong and I decided to just tough it out and wait. You do that with your car, you do that at your own peril. You see a drip underneath your car and you're like, I'm going to have to put that off for a few weeks. And then a few weeks later your transmission's gone, and what would have been replacing, I had a transmission leak. I needed a new oil pan. I needed a new pan for the bottom of my transmission. It cost like $150 to fix. If I let that go for another few weeks, shit, I would have been like, well, that's going to be $2,000, $3,000 for a rebuilt transmission, because you let it dry. You let all the fluid out. I remember the day I was getting my mail. I grabbed the mail out of the mailbox. I just got a big check in the mail. I was looking at the check, and I looked up at my Jeep. It was a Liberty, it wasn't a Wrangler. And I looked, and I could see drip, drip, drip. And I looked back at my check, and I'm like, fuck, that's where the check's going. See ya. And, but it turned out to be $150 to replace the pan, the oil pan or whatever it is at the bottom of the transmission. It was just a, leak. It was an easy fix. So I got transmission serviced and replaced that. Good to go. It did start making a weird noise after the whole thing was said and done. So I got rid of that vehicle. I was like, you know what? In fact, I've never owned an automatic. I'd never owned an automatic after that. I always bought a stick shift after that. And until I bought a Nissan Frontier that had an automatic transmission, but I bought the truck specifically for going on long distance cross country drives. And after I bought it, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't buy a stick shift for this one, because you could drive, you could finger drive with the cruise control. And I was always just cruising in that truck. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy in that truck. It was off-road capable, and it was fitted. It was decked out. That thing was fully capable of doing stuff, but I didn't lift it. I put off-road tires on it. I had an ARB front bumper. I hit a deer going 60 miles an hour, and the deer just bounced off like it was nothing, and it didn't even leave a mark on the bumper. There was like a patch of deer hair stuck to the bumper, and I just said, I'm going to leave it there because that's like a souvenir. And until it washed off in the rain or whatever, I was like, look at that. And I put an ARE camper shell on the back, and a set of decked drawers with 6-foot long drawers with a bed on top of it. And I made a custom memory foam mattress to fit in there. And basically I turned it into a miniature camper. A miniature camper that you could take anywhere. And it's the size of a regular truck, compact pickup truck. So I could take it anywhere. I could drive it anywhere. It was decent on gas, and it wasn't like driving a giant Winnebago or a giant camper van or a fifth wheel or anything ridiculous like that. It was like driving a truck, and then I could just park somewhere, and we could set up a big camp with all the amenities. Cook I had 10 different ways from Sunday to cook. Um, Believe me, I had like a full on kitchen available in that truck, and I had enough tarps and canopies, and that truck could be extended out to just the tarps and canopy systems that I had in play. I could attach a bunch of tarps and canopies and stuff to that truck and extend the footprint out so far that you'd be able to do everything you wanted to do: cook and eat and chill and hang out under a protected tarp when it rains. And I had that thing decked out nice, and that all disappeared when the FBI showed up at my house. So right now I'm a bicyclist, and that's all I can do. So you want to maintain your shit. And so $250 to get a few good tools that I need for my toolkit and get the complete drivetrain replaced on my bicycle, the bicycle that I ride the most. That's not a bad deal. I mean, that drivetrain, the chain rings and the cassette, I can get 10,000 miles out of that before I'd even have to think about replacing them. And as long as I replace the chain before it gets too stretched out and worn out, then those chain rings and the cassette will last forever. The chain rings I currently have on that bike, the 42 tooth chain ring I've had since 1990, and here it's 2025 and I'm still using it. The 53 tooth chain ring that I use on it was from a bike that I bought, or I bought that crank set in 1994. Yeah, 1994. So 1990 and 1994, and now I'm replacing them in 2025. So the two chain rings I'm buying right now, I might have to replace them in 2042. I don't know. So it's a worthwhile investment. The cassette on the bike, I'm not sure when I got it. I'm not sure when that one showed up on the scene, but it was like late 1990s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. I don't know where that cassette came from, and because I used to buy and sell and flip bikes and had bike parts all over the freaking place. I had boxes and boxes and boxes of bike parts, and I could just, if I wanted to build a bike from the frame up, I had just about all the parts I'd need in those boxes. And like, I had like a bike shop in my house at one point in time when I was doing that as a Craigslist business and buying and selling bicycles. At one point I had 50 bicycles hanging up in the basement on hooks, just bike in a row. And then I moved from that house into a much smaller house, and I started listing the bicycles one by one on Craigslist, the more valuable ones, to get some extra money. And some guy came over to buy like 3 of the bicycles I listed, and he made me an offer for all of them. He goes, I'll buy every single bike you got hanging up down here, all the ones that you want to sell. We made a list. He goes, here, I'll give you this much. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, it's a winner. I didn't make as much money as I would have selling them individually, but when I looked at what I paid for all the bikes and what he was giving me for all the bikes, it was a profitable deal. So I sold all 50 of them at once and had a nice chunk of change in my pocket just from that. And I sold tons and tons of crap from that house before I moved. That way I wouldn't have to move it, carry it. And so I made a serious pile of money just selling a bunch of stuff before moving. But the bicycle stuff, I've never had bicycles like that since. I've never had more than a few bicycles at one time since then. The most number of bicycles if you include my child's bikes, One, two, three, four, five. I might have had like 5 bicycles in the house at one time, 2 of them being my son's, 3 of them being mine. At one point, I think I had 4 bicycles of my own and 2 for the kid. Um, that kind of stuff. But it was all bicycles that I would actually ride, not bicycles that I was buying and selling and buying and selling and collecting and that kind of crap. So I sold them all and got out of that game. But from high school on, my racing days and everything else, even when I moved out, even when I sold all of those bicycles, I still had boxes of parts. Not as many, but I had boxes of parts. And eventually I just got rid of stuff, threw stuff out, just stuff you'd sold stuff off on eBay and whatnot, but just anything that was valuable, but junk, I was just like toss. And it got down to where I just didn't have anything. And then when the FBI came to my house, I lost all of my tools, my work stand, my workbench, everything just gone. One shot. So I'm rebuilding from zero. And now that I've got this red rocket, the Cannondale, my trusty, the one bicycle I trust, I've had it for so long, and I've ridden that thing. I've put over 10,000 miles that I can track on that bike, and I don't even know how many miles I've ridden it total since I built it. So I trust that bike. But it needs TLC. And so I spend $250 to replace the drivetrain. Everything on that bike is solid now. I replaced since I moved into the tiny house, or since I've been to Houston, I've replaced the brake pads. I've replaced the brake cables, the derailleur cables. I replaced the derailleur pulleys. I've replaced the tires, the inner tubes, obviously. I even bought a new back wheel because I thought something was going wrong. I thought my old wheel was falling apart. I still have the old wheel. It's a good backup spare wheel, so I have an extra wheel. It's good to have. Ugh. So anyway, I've replaced a lot of stuff on that bike over the last 6-7 months, but I'm putting almost 2,000 miles on it between January and May. So that's accelerating the pace at which I'm replacing stuff. And because of the fact that because I'm putting so many miles on it, and it's my main form of transportation. If it was a casual thing, I would have bought a new chain, and I would have just put a new chain on it and seen how everything reacts. If I can ride the bike without the gears skipping, I would have just replaced the chain and said to hell with it. Keep them chain rings and keep the gears and just keep riding. But because it's my main form of transportation and I depend on it, it's a different story. I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do it thorough, and I'm going to make sure that I'm investing in something that this replacement that I'm doing right now is going to be like, this is going to be, the chain will get about 2,000 miles before it stretches. So that's a year. I'll be able to ride the bike for a year before I have to replace the chain. And then the chain rings and the cogs, as long as I replace the chain every year, you're talking like $20 to $40. Well, if I use the same exact chain, I'll only have to buy one chain every time I replace it, because I'll have enough length in the second chain I'm buying that I can lengthen every chain that I subsequently buy to match the length that I need. And that'll get me, that's like 10 years worth of, that's like 10 years having to spend $17 a year to replace my chain. And so, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's a little bit of work. It's going to take on a Sunday. It's going to be a Sunday afternoon of work. In fact, I'll do the silver bullet stuff first. I'll replace the seat post and the water bottle cage and the give it a quick tune up, so that I have that bike ready to go and ready to ride. And that'll be I'm riding that one tomorrow. I'm riding, unless it rains. I always ride the Red Rocket in the rain because the tires are better for the rain. Um, and I just feel more comfortable on that bike when it rains and the roads are all slippery and stuff. Um, so I mean, it's just work. But I wasn't paying attention when I bought the chain rings, and now I've got like all these parts coming and going back to Amazon and coming my way. And so Amazon's going to be like, why is this? But Amazon, they don't question it especially if you never take the thing out of the package when you return it. So I'll just take it back to Whole Foods and drop it off at the counter. And I know that when you drop stuff off at Whole Foods, they credit your credit card like right away. So I'll get the money back. I gotta wait. I was gonna do it on Monday on my way home from the bakery, but now that I've got a third chain ring to return, I want to do it all at once. So I might wait until Saturday. I don't know. There's going to be a day that I'm going to take all three of the things back to Whole Foods and return them. Get all that money back. And hopefully I don't know. I got so much stuff to do. I'm just shot out, right? This week killed me. This was a very stressful week, but it ended on a high note. It ended with a little bit of hope. I'm supposed to hear back about the apartment by the end of the week. And I'm really, really hoping that it comes through, because it's really nice. It's a really nice place. It, quality wise, in terms of the build quality and the condition of everything and the cleanliness and the attention to detail and just the level of appliances and all that stuff, it's the best place I've looked at since I've been in Houston. It's the nicest place I've looked at. The downsides are being on the same property as the landlord. It's a two-story garage right next to the house, but it's got enough privacy that you are in your own place. But that, yeah, I'm kind of sick of living next door to the landlord. I would like to have distance. I would like to see the landlord when he needs to fix something and otherwise go away. But the place is nice, really nice. Good internet. I can get AT&T fiber. The guy has AT&T fiber in the house, and he said he would give me his Wi-Fi password, so I would have access to that. Plus, I can take my T-Mobile hotspot with me, so I'll have two solid internet connections right off the bat on day one. And if I need my own fiber line, I don't think he would be opposed to having AT&T install fiber to the garage on a separate account that I'll pay for. And then I'll get, whatever it is, 5,000 megabits down and 5,000 megabits up. It's crazy fast. I don't know what it costs, but it's insanely fast, and it would accommodate me tenfold. So, but for now, I'm going to be fine with whatever's available. I have full confidence about the internet at this place. It's a mile away from where I currently live, not even 1 mile. It took me 10 to 15 minutes to walk there today. Literally right around the corner from where I live. So the move will be cheap. I could rent a U-Haul, $20 for the U-Haul, and like probably 10 miles worth of driving at 60 cents a mile or whatever it is. So $26 plus, insurance and taxes and bullshit. I'm looking at like 50, $60 for a U-Haul to move. If I get this place. The place is big enough that when I move all my stuff in, it's going to look empty. It's going to look completely empty even after I move in. Which gives, it's a blank slate. It's a completely blank slate. And I can pick and choose. And if I live there for a year and I buy one piece of furniture a month, I just make it a point. I'm going to get a bed, a real bed, and sleep on a real bed again. I'll get maybe a couch and an ottoman and a nice chair and a big screen, a decent sized TV and if I just got a handful of things and just was smart about it, don't break the bank, because I want to get a car. But a place like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's a nice place. I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to fall into place, to tell you the truth. And it's not a place. If it's big enough place that my son could come and visit and I could set him up with a nice space to chill and to sleep and all that. I could make it comfortable for him to come and visit and spend time with his dad. But if he wanted to live here, I would have to get a place with I won't do it if he can't have his own bedroom and his privacy and his space. So, but this would be a good stepping stone between this tiny shithole and a proper house or a proper home. It's in the same neighborhood as I currently live. So if I can find, I can continue looking for a job in this neighborhood, like a part-timer or something along those lines, whatever. I told the guy I'm down. I'm good. Let's do this. I told him let's do it. I'm interested. I want to do it. He said he wanted to show it to a couple more people that he promised he would show it to. But he told me to reach out on Wednesday morning. I'm at first thing in the morning on Wednesday morning, I'm going to be like, hey, it's Adam, the guy on Saturday. I want to do this. What do you want to do? And then go from there. And even if I have to drain my bank account to scary levels drained, if I have to spend all day Wednesday going to the two different banks that I have accounts at and pull the money out and do it cash for the down payment just to hold it till the end of the month and then come up with the first month's rent by the end of the month, that's doable. It's just I might have a week or so. I'm trying not to go grocery shopping this week, but I'm running low on food, so I gotta do something. It's crazy. I don't even want to go it's just, this place is beat. This place is done. And so I'm hoping it's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I think I said it was May 3rd. I didn't know what date it was, but May the 4th be with you. It is May 4th right now. You're watching this sometime in the middle of the month, but next week, so 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, by May 7th, I might have a place locked and secured with a deposit, which gives me plenty of time to tell the probation officer, and then 8th, 9th, 10th. By the middle of the month, I might have this place locked by the end of the week. Let's Saturday, what was it? Saturday at the latest. So it's May 4th. Today is Sunday. 6, 7. 5th is Monday. 6th is Tuesday. 7th is Wednesday. 8th is Thursday. 9th is Friday. 10th is Saturday. So by May 10th, I might have a place locked in at the 10th of the month and fully paid for and ready to go by the 15th, which gives me 2 weeks to line up a U-Haul. I won't have to get electricity figured out and turned on. I won't have to find internet. I won't have to do any of the like it might just be that easy. Just boop, grease it in. And I'm telling you, this place has a nice kitchen. I can make it nicer by adding to it, but it's a good starter. It's got a microwave, a good size range, a 4 burner gas oven or a 4 burner gas stove with a middle burner, a long middle burner that you can put a cast iron skillet on top of and have even heating around the entire gas. I love cooking on a cast iron skillet. I might have one in storage back in Pittsburgh, but I don't have it here. But I've got 2 cast iron pans, and it's an oven. Looked like a pretty nice oven. I mean, it should be nice enough that I can clean up I have a nice Griswold cast iron pan that's good to go. I could use it today if I wanted to. And I've got a Lodge cast iron pan that needs to be stripped down and reseasoned. But I've had this Lodge cast iron pan for so long, going back more than 20 years. My daughter was like 5 years old when I got this pan, and now she's like 30. And all the constant scraping with a metal spatula and reseasoning and seasoning and seasoning and seasoning. It's glass. It's like, I don't know if you ever bought a Lodge cast iron pan. They have texture. They're not the best. But this one is so old and it's been used so much, the cooking surface is smooth. It's as smooth as a sheet of glass. It's beautiful. I love that. I like the Lodge pan better than the Griswold, mainly because I've been using it for 20 something years, and it finally, over time, it became a prime pan. It's a really, really nice pan now. You can cook eggs on that thing. It's slick. If you season it right, you can cook anything you want on that pan. Nothing sticks if you do it right. It's a good pan, but I'm going to be able to cook. I'm going to be able to I'll be able to sit down and actually show you guys how to cook. I might be able to do a freaking cooking channel or a cooking category on this channel and show you like real kitchen cooking. I'll be able to bake. I got all kinds of, I make some bomb cheesecake now. I make a damn good cheesecake. I can make tres leches cakes. I can make cookies and all kinds of good stuff. Can't wait. Now, if this place comes through, the refrigerator, the freezer, the oven and stove, and it's got a really nice microwave, it's not the best kitchen, but it's a good kitchen. And all I would need I could get a few tables and a few high top tables, and I could get a couple of I could add on to it and make it an even better kitchen than what it already is, and a proper kitchen. And there's so much room. There's so much space in that kitchen area. It's unbelievable what I could do in there. I could make a proper kitchen. I could really turn out. Like, I will never have to eat out again. No more going to Burger King or any of that garbage. I'll be eating real good. Real good. And I'm hoping if I can stay there a year, I can do a lot. Like, I know that it's a peaceful, quiet neighborhood, and it's such a nice place that the peace of mind that I will get from being there will put me in a place where I'll start making tons of money. I don't know how much, but I'll start getting things done because the peace of mind, the tranquility, the mindset, the reduction of stress, all the things that this place is killing me on. The only drawback is I'll still have to go on the long bike rides to the bakery, but I'm only doing it twice a week. And honestly, if I'm happy in my abode, if I'm living in a nice place and it makes me happy and it's clean and it's beautiful and And it makes me feel good to walk in the door. This place, first thing I see when I walk in the door of the tiny house here is a fucking toilet right in front of me. It feels like I'm walking into my jail cell at the end of the day. Oh, I just got done, got wrecked. They just shut down the yard and called us all in for our evening count. And you know, when I shut that door, it feels like the jail cell door being clanked shut. And I got these crappy ass Velcro curtains that have never been ironed. And I don't even want to open, I don't want to see out these windows. This place is the opposite. The second floor, I don't need curtains. Natural light coming in all the way around. On the first floor, there really isn't much light coming in, but the space is just dope. And I mean, I can turn this place into an amazing space to live. And it's more money than what this place costs by about $450 a month more than I'm paying now. But all utilities are included, including the internet. If the internet is so good that I don't need to have T-Mobile, I might just cancel the bill. That's $50 I'll get back per month. But this dingbat here wants to raise the rent by $200 a month. So when it all comes down to it, I'm only paying $250 more to have an incredible place versus a dump. It's worth it. The $250 a month is worth it. I'll cut $250 out somewhere. I don't really know how because my budget is so tight. And I don't eat out that much. My monthly expense chart shows me I don't eat out that much. I don't dine. I ate at a diner today. There's a diner in this neighborhood, and I was walking back from the place and I was hungry, and I was like, "Don't you dare go to Burger King." And I'm like, "Well, what about that diner right there?" So I had a big cheeseburger and but a diner cheeseburger with some mac and cheese, and I got a milkshake. And I'm not doing that again, not for a long time. It was more money than I wanted to spend, but I was like, you know what? Treat yourself, dude. You've had such a shitty week. And I'm telling you, if I could tell you what happened this week, I just got to hold on to it for a minute and I got to do my research and see if the dots don't connect. That's a good thing. I hope they don't. I don't even want to. It's bad. It's bad. Bad, bad, bad. If the thing that I'm thinking could be true turns out to be true, it's bad, bad. Like one of the craziest things you've ever heard. Bad. 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 Like not as bad as Jeffrey Dahmer getting found with a bunch of body parts in his chest freezer and that level bad, but no, this is bad. It's bad. It's bad. This is like Dateline NBC bad. And I'm just going to leave it alone because I don't want to. That's the kind of thing that like you don't want to. You don't want to make a false accusation just because of a coincidence. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to let y'all go. I'm chilling. I'm getting ready to like wind down and go to bed. I got to get up at 5 in the morning and ride my bike to the bakery again. Hope it's going to be a quick day. I hope time goes by quickly, and it should. It's been very pleasant there lately. It's been, honestly, that job gets better the longer I'm there. I actually enjoy working there more. I actually enjoy being there. It's just the money and the distance and it's just when I complain, when I sit here and complain about it, it's because of the energy it drains out of my life. The 20 miles each way on the bicycle, followed by the 8 hours of pretty hard labor, it drains me. So the day after, I'm a mess. I was a wreck when I woke up this morning. I could barely walk. 40 miles on the bicycle, 8 hours on my feet, working hard. It takes a lot. It's a 13, 14-hour day. Hard day. Do you work so hard at your physical job that it's the same physical, that it's as most people, I can ride my bicycle 40 miles and it's not that big a deal to me. But to a lot of people, that's more than they would ride a bicycle in the span of a year. And they can't even imagine what it would be like to ride a bicycle 40 miles. Oh my God, 40 miles. But if you think about it, can you walk for 4 hours? Can you go to like the zoo? Can you go to the Pittsburgh Zoo and walk for 4 or 5 hours out of a day and walk around a place like that? Can you go on a hike? Can you walk somewhere? Can you go on a hike that takes 3-4 hours? 3-hour hike. Can you walk someplace? Can you walk for 3 hours? Can you go somewhere and swim for 3 hours? Can you do exercise for 3 hours doing something? Then you could get on a bicycle and ride 40 miles, because that would take about, a slow person can do it in 4. To go 10 miles an hour on a bicycle, all you got to do is pedal. Like, anybody can go 10 miles an hour on a bicycle. A little kid that's 6 years old can go 10 miles an hour on a bicycle. A little kid that just learned how to ride a bike can go 10 miles an hour, no problem. How long can they do it depends on the kid. Any grown-up can go 10 miles an hour without trying. So 4 hours, that's 40 miles. If you have any level of fitness, you can go 15. Now you can do, 30 miles in 2 hours. You can do 60 miles in 4 hours. And if you have a level of fitness, you've been biking for a while, and you've got the right bike and, you're in decent shape, you can average 20 and above. So if you average 20 miles an hour on a ride, like a group ride, if you go out with a group and you're dealing, a large group of cyclists will go faster than a single biker because of the fact that you're all in a group and you're drafting on each other. And so the speeds just go up exponentially. You can average 20. The Tour de France riders average like 30 miles an hour because the big group cuts the wind and it reduces the amount of effort that everybody takes. And you do find that when you ride in a group, you're like, wow, I can go on 25, 30 miles an hour the whole day. But it's because a group goes faster than a single biker. But anyway, I'm going to let you all go. I got a lot of stuff on my plate. And I hope I didn't, suck $300 out of my bank account that I'm going to need to get this apartment squared away. But I do need to fix the bicycle, so it's not like it was a waste of money. It's not like I went out and bought hookers and blow and video games and junk food and, spend it on dumb shit. So I'm not worried about it. It'll all work itself out. God is great. See ya. Peace out.